Today's training is a little bit tricky to coordinate because GBSC currently is working from home because there's a COVID case in our office. So we'll try to do this slowly and coordinate accordingly. Okay, so today's topic, we will cover how to enter a pre-fund and how to do a settlement. Okay, the first one that we'll show you is how to do a pre-fund. So first you go and select GL, go to General Journals. Okay, click on New Journal. Make sure you select the correct journal name. Okay, so all the AR journals will be under ARJ so that your running sequential number will be accurate. Okay, update the description based on what you need the description to be. Then you go to lines. Okay, so you will need to select your account type. And select your project and choose your project accordingly. Okay, the reason why we use GL to do this is because in the AR module, we cannot select the project. So there's a limitation with D365 when we try to match it to our S5 process. So we need to do this via GL. That's why we set up a new journal name to have a separate numbering. So for the purpose of pre-fund, you credit the project and you debit the bank. So this one quite straightforward. No change to that. Okay, the most important thing is you need to go to the project tab and select the pre-fund category. Okay, so this category will match the simplified category. And the accounting entry, it will go to debit bank and credit pre-fund WIP account. Okay. And for the next line, then go and change your account type. Choose the bank and select the respective bank account. Like what was mentioned yesterday, for bank account, right, is mapped to each individual GL account for easy reconciliation in the future. So these are the key changes. So obviously for each journal, you need to put in the correct description. Okay, and for the purpose of AR, for the bank line, you must always enter it based on the currency of the bank account. If it is a US dollar bank account, you need to key in as US dollars. Okay, if it's a local currency bank account, you need to key in as local currency. However, for the purpose of the project line, the entry must be based on the DA currency of the client. Okay, so if you're entering bank line, you receive the money in US dollars, but the project is Hong Kong dollars, then you need to make sure that you key in accordingly. Because if you key in the Hong Kong DA currency project, right, if you key in US dollars, the system will get confused and calculate the wrong exchange rate. So it's very important that the project line you follow DA currency, the bank line you follow your bank account currency. Okay, same thing. If it's a US dollar bank account and you key in as local currency, then your bank account balance will go wrong. So it's very, very important to watch out for this. When we did the data migration, when we try to split up the bank balances from the previous GL account to the individual bank account balances, right? As far as I can see, every single country has the wrong amount. So at a later stage, Ziying and the team will check with all of you what should be the correct bank account balance for the foreign currency bank accounts. The local currency should not have any issue. It's only the foreign currency bank accounts have differences. The local bank accounts usually at most is just some rounding differences, or previously there is some FX related items that is not posted correctly, that's all. Okay, and for the purpose of the bank accounts, we will be using D365 to run the revaluation. So the foreign currency balance must be correct. Okay, so in the event that you have bank charges, okay, you have to key in the bank charge in the separate line and go to the category and select bank charge category. Okay, if there is a bank charge that you can charge back to the client, then you do this. Okay, so the bank receipt amount is 41,997.43, but based on the remittance advice or the information from the client, they are pre-funding us for 42,000. Then your remaining bank charge, you need to key in under the bank charge line. Okay, so this example that is being entered is showing that you can bill back to the client. Vinny, can you show the example where we cannot bill back to the client? Assuming this 2.57 cannot bill back to the client, what would you do? Okay, so if you cannot bill back to the client, the only thing you need to do is to go to the line property under project and change it to non-bill. So the bank charge will still be captured to this project, but it will not show up when you try to do your DA billing. So this is a journal of pre-funding. Okay, in the past, for pre-fund, sometimes because the PDA has not been created, it is not synced to AX. Because the AX interface logic is based on your PDA needs to be confirmed. Then you can sync across to AX. But in D365, what will happen is once a project is created in Simplify, we will create the project in D365. So we will not have this issue of asking the ops to confirm the PDA, etc. Just based on the creation, we will go in straight away and create. Okay, so that's the some of the key differences between the AX process and the D365 process. Okay, and after you are done with this journal, all you need to do is to validate. Okay, if nothing is wrong with the journal, you will see a blue bar, operation is completed. Okay, Vinny, can you try to post this and then we see how it flows through to the project module? Oh, sorry, this is a live journal. Okay. Okay. This journal cannot be posted because this is not a real journal. It's okay. If that's the case, then we go on to do a settlement journal. Later, we will show you how it flows back to project. We will get an example to show you. So for the purpose of settlement journal, same thing. You go into GL and select general journal. Okay. Vinny, hold on a second. Go back. Okay, just now you all can see that when Vinny try to click, right, she always click the favorite. Okay, in D365, you can set up favorites for the common menu that you use. How do you do that? When you click on module, when you go to journal, general journal, there is this star on the right hand side. Once you click the star, it will appear in your favorite. If you unclick the star, then it will disappear from your favorite accordingly. So you don't need to go into the menu path every single time. So you can actually create the shortcuts to help yourself do things more efficiently. Okay. So we go to general journal. And you need to create a journal and select the journal name. Okay, same thing, go and select your AR journal and rename it accordingly. Okay, for first step, same thing, you need to change your account type. Change it to customer, and you will need to search for the customer accordingly. And you have to put in the best description that you can do. Okay, then you click on function, settle transaction. Basically, what you'll see here is all the open items that have been migrated from AX, as well as new DAs that are generated, it will all flow into AR open item. Okay, depending on how many projects that the client is settling, and you just need to select accordingly, or how many invoices the client is settling, just select accordingly. Okay, then you click OK. It will populate the total credit on the main journal line. Okay, for the purpose of financial dimension, please put in your branch, your line of business. Okay, department is only used for our internal journals, not for client related or vendor related. Then select your project accordingly. Okay, so obviously for liner, you need to select liner agency. For PA, port agency. And for your debit line, you need to select a bank and you need to select your respective bank accounts. Okay, as you can see, there is bank charge involved. That's why the bank line is not showing the exact amount against the outstanding. So you need to create a new line and key in the bank charges. Okay. Vinny is very experienced in this, so she knows exactly where to key in the information. But if you're not sure, right, Vinny, can you delete this and then do the drop down? The drop down not working. Yeah. Okay. So when you select the drop down, okay, it will give you, slow down, slow down. It will give you all the accounts on the left, and then you can search for the account on the right. But if let's say you are not familiar with the new chart of accounts, you can key in the description. Okay, when you key in the description, it will appear as well. So most of the description are the same as per AX, but there are some accounts that are no longer the same. We try to keep everything the same as much as possible, but there are some changes to the GL account because we need to factor in Europe's chart of accounts as well. So the numbering has to change. So if you are not familiar with the new chart of accounts, just go straight in and key the description. You should get all the matches. Then you can select the respective bank account that you, GL account that you want to select. Okay. Then it will straight away jump to your next financial dimension, which is branch. And you can change, you can skip to customer or line of business, department, etc. It will give you all the options available. Then you just need to select accordingly. Okay, in this case, because we are absorbing the bank charges, we did not charge back to the client's project. Okay, so in terms of the data entry for a settlement journal, this is it. Then same thing, we need to validate. Okay, you can do the simulate posting. We need to try simulate posting. Okay, so Generally speaking, right, if you do a simulate posting and the operation is completed, it's like 100% guarantee that this journal can be posted. There's no possible errors at all. Sometimes because in the old AX, right, when we validate, we just validating whether this journal itself, the entries are okay. But we don't factor in like, is the period open or is there anything else? So simulate posting basically checks for all other things apart from just whether your journal is done accurately or not. Okay, then obviously when this is ready for posting, then you just need to give it to the checker, check and post the journal. Okay. So this is basically a settlement journal. Just now we went through a pre-fund journal. So these are the two types of journals that we will need to enter in D365. Okay, I'm going to show you how it shows up when a pre-fund is entered. Okay, in the event that there are cases where the client is paying us a pre-fund for a call and settling for some older calls, right? You can combine everything into one single journal as well. You just need to have the pre-fund line entered and the settlement line entered. It can all be in a single journal. Okay, so what happened is she has just entered a pre-fund of 90,600 for this particular project, 1596. Then she has entered a second pre-fund as well. Vinny, can you just add one more settlement line for illustration? Select the customer and key in one settlement line. Okay, for the purpose of this kind of unique scenario where you need to enter the pre-fund and the settlement, okay, there is a limitation in the system. So what happens is you will need to break up the bank line because the voucher itself must tie first. So in this example, right, if let's say we have two pre-fund for different project, okay, then we need to key in the bank line for this pre-fund so that the voucher ties. Then you can go and key in your settlement under a different voucher number. Okay. Ideally, we don't want to do this because once you split the bank line, it's difficult for you to do the bank record. And in the future, after we stabilize D365, we are going to start doing the bank record within D365 itself. So we tested this and there is this limitation that we have. So it's unfortunate, but it's just something that we have to do. Okay, we have to make sure that the voucher line itself, the voucher totals must tie back first. You need to check your currency. Can I check the totals again? Click somewhere. I think the total is not calculated. Okay. So now your total matches, there's zero balance. Then you can create a new line to key in the settlement. Okay, you will see that the voucher number for the latest line is now 128. Okay, the top four lines are 127. So you need to make sure that it's a different voucher number in order for this to work. Okay, and you'll realize that every single time when Beanie is doing a new line, the financial dimension, she will need to key in again. The reason being at the journal header stage, right, there we didn't preset the financial dimension. So when you go into the line items, every single time you'll be asked for the financial dimension. Vinny, just randomly pick one is fine. Just for illustration. So can you scroll up, Vinny? I want to see the invoice number. Scroll up. Okay, stop. You will see that all these, right? The invoice number starting with 000 something, right? All these are the migrated items. Okay, all these are the migrated items. The newly generated items from D365, you scroll down, you'll see it as project dash 0102, etc. Okay, the numbering sequence is slightly different. Vinny, just pick one first. Okay, go ahead and select the bank. Vinny, select the same bank. Make it the same for illustration. Okay, this particular scenario, what you're seeing now is the first voucher number 127 is a pre-fund. Okay, it has to tie within the same voucher number first. Okay, the second voucher is for the settlement. And within the voucher itself, it would need to tie back as well. Okay, now she's putting in the bank charge. Double check the currency, please. Okay, so now its balance is 0. So you will see for this particular example, right, we are forced to break the bank into 2 separate lines. So what you will see in your actual bank statement would be 188,265.66. Instead of showing 2 lines of 181,192.30 and 7073.36. So this is the limitation that we have, but we will put this under the same journal so that at least when you look at the journal, you know for sure that there are 2 bank lines. And you need to add the total to go and match back to your bank statement. Okay, but under proper ideal scenario, your number here in the journal must fully match your bank statement. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do reconciliation. So for example, for the first voucher, you have 2 pre-fund. Do not break up the bank line into 2 separate lines. The bank line should always match the bank statement amount, so that in future we can do automated bank record. But if the number is not matched, or you try to manually split it up or try to manually change the number, then you cannot do automated bank record. Okay, we need to split by project. That's because it's paying for different calls. But the bank line, we do not need to split. There's no obligation or there's no requirement to split the bank line. It's only for this kind of case where there's a settlement and pre-fund, we have no choice but to split the bank line. Okay. Vinny, can you find an example where previously you all entered the pre-fund? Just a quick one to show how the bank charge will show up and how the pre-fund will show up. Okay, you'll see that once we enter a pre-fund, it will flow through here and you can see the pre-fund. Is there a bank charge for this one? No, it's fine. Okay,
There is no bank charge.
okay. If there is bank charge, it will show up here as well. Do you have one example where the bank charge is non-billable? Offhand, do you remember anyone? No, it's fine. Or just point to us where we can see whether it's billable, non-billable. In process. Okay, if you can charge back the bank charge, it will show here as bank charge. If you can charge back to the client. Okay, but if you cannot charge back to the client, it will not show up here because this one is the panel where you're trying to create the DA to the client. So you will need to go to, I believe, the expense journal in order to find those items that is tagged to this project, but it's not billable. Okay, so that's the end for the AR training session. Please note down all your questions. We will have a separate country by country discussion after all the training is done. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Vinny. Bye.